you, President Tony. Kia ora tātou. Wonderful to be back in the Rotary fold. But I have also been flying the flag as I've been travelling around in my role as Prime Minister's Special Envoy for Francophone Africa for our UN Security Council bid. So I was in Sao Tome, a place that I had to look up on the map just before going to Madagascar, and I have a couple of banners to present. But there were two things I wanted to give you an update on as a club. First of all, what is happening in Geneva? And Sue, thank you for that wonderful update of the work that Rotary has been doing in the health space. This week is the World Health Assembly, and Sir Peter Gluckman, in about 12 hours, will be announcing a new global obesity initiative with the Director General of the World Health Organization, Margaret Chan. And that is wonderful for New Zealand, putting us on the map, but also working on a very important preventative approach to health. Then we have another New Zealander, Phil O'Reilly, who many of you will know from Business New Zealand, who's coming up for the International Labour Organisation conference in about a month. And it's wonderful having prominent New Zealanders come through Geneva and help put us on the map. There are over 30 organisations that are part of the UN system that we're engaged with in Geneva, and a big shout out to Russ Ballard, whose son Joe is doing a very good job in disarmament. Interestingly too, also at my table, Tricia's son, Nick Warbridge, is in New York working specifically on the UN Security Council campaign. And it's very interesting seeing how the relationships that we are developing through the campaign are positioning us for a long-term future. The last point I wanted to make, many of you have been involved or have heard about the English language training that's given to senior officials from places like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. It was one of my early jobs in the ministry in the 90s. And now that program has been extended to Francophone Africa. And there was a very successful first course back at the end of last year. Now a second one is going on. And a number of people have said, well, Africa. 6 out of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world were in Africa last year. And the thought is that in another 30 years, given that 60% of the world's arable land is there, and that we, as Anthony Scott will tell you, have a lot of science expertise in the agricultural field, that 30 years down the track, New Zealand's place in the world might look quite different as it did 30 years ago with Asia. So to finish with a quote from Will Rogers, even if you're on the right track, if you just stand there, you'll get run over. And another one, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So it's great to be back. Thank you.